Rock and roll promised immortality through music, but the human body remains fragile. While overdoses and accidents claimed many legends, some of the genre's greatest voices fell to diseases that ravaged them slowly and painfully. These are 12 rock stars who died of horrible diseases. Number 12, Chuck Schuldiner. The co-founder and driving force of death metal was only 34 when brain cancer claimed his life on December 13, 2001. He built the band Death in 1983 and revolutionized extreme music with albums like Human and Symbolic. His technical precision and philosophical lyrics elevated death metal from underground noise to respected art form. Diagnosed with a pontine glioma brain tumor in 1999, Schuldiner faced surgeries and chemotherapy with no health insurance to speak of. His family went bankrupt, paying for treatment as fans worldwide organized benefit concerts to help cover the costs. He spent his final months partially paralyzed, unable to play guitar. His death sent shockwaves through the metal community. Bands like Opeth, Arch Enemy, and Cannibal Corpse cite him as a primary influence on modern extreme metal. Number 11, Phil Lynott. Thin Lizzy's charismatic frontman collapsed at his home on Christmas Day, 1985. He died 10 days later at age 36 from septicemia, pneumonia, and heart failure brought on by years of substance abuse. Lynott had written classics like Jailbreak and The Boys Are Back in Town, making Thin Lizzy one of Ireland's greatest rock exports. His organs began shutting down after a sustained period of heavy drug and alcohol use over the holiday. Doctors at Salisbury Hospital fought to save him, but the infections overwhelmed his weakened system. His mother, Philomena, was at his bedside when he died on January 4, 1986. Hundreds of mourners attended his funeral. Metallica and countless other bands have covered his songs in tribute. They were asking if you were around, how you was and where could you be found. Number 10, Eddie Van Halen. Guitar wizardry redefined rock music in 1978 when Van Halen what people thought possible on 6 strings. The band sold over 80 million albums worldwide and produced anthems like Jump, Hot for Teacher, and Panama. Tongue cancer struck around 2000, requiring removal of part of his tongue. Eddie publicly attributed it to metal guitar picks held in his mouth for hours during practice. Lung cancer was then diagnosed in 2017, eventually spreading to his brain. He traveled to Germany for experimental treatment while continuing to decline. Eddie died on October 6, 2020, at age 65, with his son Wolfgang by his side. Number 9, Peter Steele. Standing 6'7" with a baritone voice that rumbled like thunder, the typo-negative frontman became gothic metal's most distinctive figure. The Brooklyn band blended doom metal with dark humor on albums like Bloody Kisses and October Rust. Steele's lyrics explored depression, relationships, and mortality with brutal honesty. He died suddenly on April 14, 2010, at age 48 from sepsis caused by diverticulitis. The intestinal disease went undetected until his system was overwhelmed with infection. His death ended typo-negative permanently. Bands like him, Cradle of Filth, and Lacuna Coil credit his influence on gothic metal's evolution. Before we continue, which of these losses hit you hardest? Did you grow up with these bands shaping your taste in heavy music? Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. Number 8. Ronnie James Dio. A platinum album with Black Sabbath and multiple gold and platinum records with Rainbow and his solo band Dio. The man born Ronald James Padavona possessed one of metal's most powerful voices and gave the world the devil horns hand gesture, Holy Diver, Rainbow in the Dark, and Heaven and Hell remain eternal metal anthems. Stomach cancer struck in November 2009 when Dio was 67 and still actively recording. He announced his diagnosis publicly and began aggressive chemotherapy while remaining optimistic. Fans organized prayer circles and benefit shows worldwide. The disease proved too aggressive. Wendy Dio, his wife and manager, announced his death on May 16, 2010. Iron Maiden, Metallica, and Judas Priest have honored his legacy through tribute performances. His influence shaped every power metal and traditional metal band that followed.
We lost the rising sun, it's the final sign.
Number 7. Jeff Hanneman. Slayer's guitarist wrote Angel of Death, Raining Blood, and South of Heaven. The thrash metal legends sold millions of albums while remaining uncompromisingly heavy for over 3 decades. Hanneman's razor-sharp riffs helped define a generation of heavy metal coming out of Los Angeles alongside bands like Metallica and Megadeth. Spider bite in 2011 gave him necrotizing fasciitis, a flesh-eating bacterial infection. The disease kept him off tour while his arm healed, but years of heavy drinking had already damaged his liver beyond repair. Alcohol-related cirrhosis led to liver failure. He died on May 2, 2013, at age 49. Kerry King and Tom Araya struggled to continue without him. Machine Head, Lamb of God, and Sepultura cite his songwriting as a defining influence on the evolution of heavy metal. Number 6. Lemmy Kilmister. The hardest living man in rock and roll lasted 70 years before his body finally gave out. Motorhead's bassist and vocalist built a career on speed, volume, and Jack Daniels. Ace of Spades became heavy music's defining anthem. The band released 22 studio albums and never compromised their sound for commercial success. On December 26, 2015, doctors told Lemmy he had an aggressive cancer that left him with a very limited time to live. He died just 2 days later, on December 28th, surrounded by family at his Los Angeles apartment. Congestive heart failure and diabetes had been weakening him for years, but he had refused to slow down. Thousands gathered at his Rainbow Bar and Grill. Memorial. Metallica covered his songs. Foo Fighters paid tribute. His influence on metal and punk remains immeasurable. Number 5. Malcolm Young. CDC's rhythm guitarist and co-founder wrote the riffs that powered Highway to Hell, Back in Black, and Thunderstruck. The Australian band has sold over 200 million albums worldwide, making them one of rock's biggest acts. Malcolm's precise, driving rhythm guitar created the foundation for every song while brother Angus soloed. Dementia had been quietly taking hold for years before his family publicly announced his retirement in September 2014. The disease progressed rapidly, forcing him into a care facility as his memory deteriorated. He could no longer recognize bandmates or play guitar. Malcolm died on November 18, 2017, at age 64, with his family present. A CDC continued in his honor, but the band's sound was never the same. His rhythm guitar style influenced every hard rock band that followed. Which of these bands defined your youth? Did you see any of these legends perform live before they passed? Share your memories in the comments below. Number 4. Jon Lord. Deep Purple's Hammond organ gave rock music a classical dimension. Lord co-wrote Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, and Woman from Tokyo. His keyboard work on Machine Head contributed to an album that helped Deep Purple sell over 100 million records across their career. He trained as a classical pianist before joining the rock revolution of the late 60s. Pancreatic cancer struck in 2011 when Lord was 70. During treatment, he suffered a pulmonary embolism that caused fatal complications. He died on July 16, 2012, at the London clinic surrounded by family. A memorial concert at the Royal Albert Hall in 2014 drew the surviving members of Deep Purple, with Ian Gillan delivering an emotional performance in his honor. His classical rock fusion influenced bands like Rainbow, Uriah Heep, and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Number 3. Vinnie Paul. Pantera's powerhouse drummer co-founded the band with his brother Dimebag Darrell in 1981. Together they created Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, and The Great Southern Trendkill. Their groove metal sound influenced every heavy band of the 90s. After Pantera dissolved, Vinnie formed Damageplan and later Hellyeah, continuing to tour relentlessly. He died suddenly on June 22, 2018, at age 54 at his home in Las Vegas. An autopsy revealed severe dilated cardiomyopathy and coronary artery disease. His heart had been failing for years without symptoms. Friends say he never recovered emotionally from his brother's murder on stage in 2004. Vinnie was buried next to Dimebag at Moore Memorial Gardens in Texas. His double bass drumming technique shaped modern metal percussion. Number 2. Sean Reinert. Technical death metal owes much of its identity to drummers like Reinert. His work on Death's Human album in 1991 revolutionized extreme music drumming. He co-founded Cynic and pushed progressive metal into jazz fusion territory on their landmark album Focus. His jazz-influenced approach brought sophistication to brutal music. Reinert died suddenly on January 24, 2020, at age 48 from an aortic rupture. Massive internal bleeding caused his death. He had completed a full physical examination just 3 weeks earlier with no warning signs. His husband found him unresponsive at their California home. He had been openly gay since coming out in 2014, becoming an advocate for LGBTQ metal musicians. Obscura, Between the Buried and Me, and Animals as Leaders cite his drumming as a foundational influence. Number 1. Paul Di'Anno. The original Iron Maiden vocalist sang on their self-titled 1980 debut and Killers in 1981. His raw, punk-influenced delivery on Running Free, Phantom of the Opera, and Sanctuary defined the new wave of British heavy metal sound. Those first 2 albums sold millions and established Iron Maiden as metal's future. Health problems plagued him for decades after leaving the band. He performed in a wheelchair for several years due to severe knee problems and lymphedema. Di'Anno died on October 21, 2024, at age 66 from a sudden cardiac event at his home in Salisbury. His family released a statement thanking fans for their support. Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris paid tribute to his contributions. Saxon, Diamond Head, and countless NWOBHM bands Acknowledge his influence on metal's evolution during that crucial early 80s period.